Good evening, Ron. How are you?
Pretty good, ma'am.
And your name is Ron Readinger?
Howard Ron Readinger.
And you're a Vietnam veteran?
Yes, I am.
And you served during what period of time?
1967 to, well, I joined the Marine Corps in August of 66 to August 72. My Vietnam tour of duty began in March of 67 to later in 69. I served 2 tours. Came home for 30 days, but served 2 tours, went right back.
And we're talking, Ron, tonight about Agent Orange, and Ron was affected by Agent Orange when he served in Vietnam as a Marine. Can you tell us a little bit about how it happened and where you were and how you were became in contact with the dioxin?
In our placement bunkers up on the DMZ, that's the demilitarized zone, we were working all day, and it was pretty hot. There was no showers or anything where we could cool down. So I was tired, but I couldn't sleep down underneath the bunker because it was over 100 degrees down there. Most of the guys were already passed out and sleeping. I came out of the bunker and went up on top and stretched out up there under the stars. It was kind of nice. It was quiet. It was like a null. And suddenly one of our C-130s went over, and I didn't know what it was because it's pitch black at night. We had some flash from some of our tower coordinates, and it was something wet. I thought, well, it's a vapor off the engines or something, because I could smell the JP4 exhaust. The next morning I woke up and my whole body was covered with a white powdery substance. So that's how I know I got sprayed with whatever it was that killed all the weeds out in front of us on the DMZ.
Didn't anybody warn you at the time that this was a toxic substance?
No, ma'am. We weren't told about what the heck it was or anything else. They just said we were going to kill the weeds, but we didn't know what they were talking about or what they were going to do.
And they didn't give any indication it was a health risk of any type to the military people that were serving?
Preset standard of run, duck, get out of the way. But, 24 to 48 hours went by and we saw a banana tree turning brown. We saw foliage of all kinds and shapes and sizes turning brown, losing their leaves, starting to die off. So we knew that weed killer was doing a pretty good job because we could see more into the jungle than what we could before. Before, we couldn't see more than 100 yards. That extended our range out to the DMZ to where we could see at least out 600 yards and see if any encroaching traffic was coming from the north, from Hanoi. We would hear the traffic ganging up on the north side of the river of the DMZ, the militarized zone.
When did you notice that you started having health problems?
Almost immediately. I started having headaches that I couldn't figure out what had happened. I was eating good, I was exercising good, we were working pretty hard building bridges and bunkers up there along the defensive DMZ, and we wanted to make sure that our defenses were up. We were bringing towers in, but I started feeling icky and sick, and the corpsman just said, hey, maybe it's the sun, just slow down a little bit, drink plenty of water, here's a couple of aspirin. And that was it. But I still kept getting headaches and getting sick.
So when you got back to the States, what did you do then? Did they treat you, or did you know there was anything wrong?
They still didn't know anything. They just said, well, has a lot of nervous disorder, but he also has, a lot of headaches. Nobody could figure out why. So
we'll fast forward up to the point where you finally really got sick. Can you tell us, a little bit about, or what, how many years ago was that?
Up to about 5 or 6 years ago, 7 now, that they detected testicle cancer that I had. And they related it directly to the spray of Agent Orange that I had received back in the 60s. So this was, what, 7 years ago? I don't know, that's 2000 something. Maybe less, maybe more. That I've had one testicle removed. I've had 4 or 5 carcinomas removed and spotted. I go in a lot for cancer checkups now because of the list that's as long as a roll of paper towels, if you're familiar with that size. They have a list attached to Agent Orange that now that, of course, they tagged on diabetes, and there's a lymph node cancer coming too, so they're not sure.
So they're keeping a pretty good eye on you now.
Now, yes. But when it first happened, there wasn't no national registry like there is now. They made up a registry and started getting people to sign it because they found out that some of our people were getting hurt and all of a sudden coming back with deformation, a cyst, or some kind of malfunction of the body movements.
Yeah, there's been reports that people have had Parkinson's disease and some other things.
That's also
have you had
you
had any of these symptoms, or do you know anybody that has?
Yes, ma'am. I've out of our 45 personnel that we had, I had 45 good men. 30 of them I've laid to rest. They've either had some form of cancer, but they haven't proven it was because of Agent Orange, but they were all in the same area that I was. Now, I want to live a long life, so I'm going to get checked every second I get a chance to get into the VA. With the new administration they have now, I go to another VA up north of me. I'd rather stay with the one in the Little Rock area down there in Arkansas, but they want me to go north, so I'll go north, as long as they do the same treatment that I've been going through with the yearly checkups of each one.
So they've been keeping a pretty close eye on you since they checked and they found the first cancer that had developed.
Yes, ma'am.
So you found over the last 15 years or so they've been a little bit more proactive in the
yes, exactly.
taking care of
forward, yeah. But they're also helping the new vets come back from Iraq and Iran to understand what war, PTSD, and everything else, chemical reactions, that some cases are showing up from the Iran and Gulf War vets and some of the Iraqi vets that found some of the substances buried out there.
So you think some of the results, or basically the investigations that they found through Agent Orange, have helped
Vietnam era,
the Vietnam era, that the Iraq and the Afghanistan soldiers coming back, it's helped the research agents and the doctors to develop and help those soldiers as well.
They have learned from what we have told them and what to be careful of. The Korean vets, of course, were a different nature. But now they're coming forward also, and we're really glad they did, because they found out there's some shell shock victims in that, which is now PTSD, but they called it shell shock back then. And with the new kids that are coming up out of Iraq, Iran, Gulf War, and some of the other syndromes that they were out there, PTSD is more than anything they expected, and now they know how to treat it.
So
because we broke the ice on it.
PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder,
yes,
and this has basically affected all branches through all wars. And the Vietnam they've brought it to the light, and the
learn about death in a fast way.
Real quick.
When you're only 18, 19 years old, fixing to go to your first year of college, and all of a sudden don't make it, and find out that they're how to kill or be killed. How quick life can be. We taught that to the other ones now that are coming back. So
the VA's been pretty proactive in helping the newbies, so to speak, the newer veterans that are coming back with
we stand aside and they come forward, yes ma'am.
Well, that's good. Thank you for taking the time to speak to me tonight, and I appreciate all that you've done for our country.